On today's episode of the Raucous Modern Life podcast, I interview Issa Barte, aka the Hugot and Forest Queen. She's a freelance illustrator with over 65,000 followers on Instagram, co-founder of For the Future, and a very dear friend of mine. In this episode, we go over how she started her booming Instagram page, her process for creating illustrations, and a little segment called Explain Dat Gram. We also have a special guest that joins the show halfway through the episode, who also happens to be the creative director / color queen of For the Future, Miss Nicole Concepcion. In the second half of the show, we discuss what For the Future is, our dream goals for the organization, and why it's important for the youth to take initiative in creating a better future. I hope you all enjoy this episode, so let's jump right into the recording with Issa Barte.
That was a hoot!
What is poppin', and welcome to the Raucous Modern Life Show. My name is Rocka, future veterinarian, ex-varsity athlete, and dude who loves to talk about all things hot in PH pop culture. Despite the name, the show ain't about me, but truly about the unique things that my guests bring to the table, while also providing some quality kalokohan. So buckle up and let's get rockin'. And we're live. What's up, Is? Why don't you introduce yourself, your profession, and your favorite date spot in the Philippines?
Hi, Rox. I'm Issa Barte. I'm a freelance artist and the co-founder of For the Future, which you're part of, and I'm super lucky that you're part of it. And my favorite date spot is anywhere with a view and coffee. So probably like the province.
The province.
They have the best coffee and best views. So,
like, is there any specific province that you would choose, like, in terms of view?
I had some of the best views were in Mati and Davao and in Bohol. Like, I remember in Bohol, we just stopped by the road to wait for something to open, the Tarsier Sanctuary to open.
Ooh.
We were just having three and one by the roadside. It was just like the best. That's what I'm super into.
Yeah, just like nature, and even doesn't even need to be a great cup of coffee, no? It can be coffee ko lang.
Yeah.
Just for the
As
vibe.
long as the company's good, it's good.
That's the question, though, that everyone's dying to know. Was it a date, though, or when you were actually in those views, or was it a group thing?
No, it was a date.
It was a
I
date.
was like,
It was a date.
I was in love with life and stuff.
feeling yourself, feeling the view, feeling your special someone.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that special someone a mystery.
Yes.
Also for
Thank
personal
you.
reasons. But yeah, that's awesome, and I could say the same. Like, I love the mountain vibes, like, you know, when it's especially in like foggy mornings and you have like a cozy cup of coffee, just listening to
Yes.
some good tunes with that special someone. So I could definitely see why you would pick that. But yeah, overall, thank you so much for joining the show. Like,
Yeah.
you were definitely on my list early on when I was creating the pod to begin with, and I'm super excited to talk about FTF because, like, despite having 2 seasons, this is the first episode where I get to really talk about it in detail. And who
Nice.
better than the co-founder, Issa Barte herself?
Can't wait to hear what you have to say about it too, though.
Oh no,
That'd
am I
be
gonna be
interesting.
am I gonna be graded?
I have a rubric ready
Oh
on
no.
the side.
All right. Well, why don't we just get into it? So, for the listeners that have stuck around long enough, you know what's coming, and it is the question: what's poppin'?
What's poppin'?
So, Issa, what's been poppin' with you? What's been keeping you busy? How you been doing?
COVID.
COVID-19.
And the typhoon season, like you would know, FTF has been super busy with a lot of relief operations. So I've been back and forth from Manila to all these devastated areas trying to give help that no one else is giving them because the government sucks. But yeah, it's really just filling the gaps where there's a lot of lacking, where there's a lot that is lacking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, what are those experiences been like? I guess, like, actually going to the communities, because us here in FTF, other than you and maybe Raf and Maita, like we're always creating, we're like the back room work, but then you actually get to see the people there and see the people that you're helping. What does that feel like to, like, actually get, like, bring the donations to them and, like, actually interact with them face to face?
It's funny, because not really funny. It's ironic because the pictures we take, that's when they're like smiling. That's when they have the donations already. So what you see online is kind of different from what's actually happening on ground. Because what's happening on ground is really heartbreaking. Like we most times we try to not have like an event, those bigger organizations, like put them all in a gym and then have a huge event for it and
Right,
announce what's
right.
going on. In FTF, we try to not do that. We just go into the community and then let them handle logistics, like how they want to give it out and stuff. And that's when we stay in the background and just like observe or help them pass it around. That's when you see like how emotional it is to really just like lose everything to the typhoons. I'm speaking from relief operations for the typhoons. It's really crazy to see how people are left with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I feel like when things start opening up, a lot more youth should be mobilizing, doing these things to see for themselves, like what is happening with the climate crisis, because it's so different from seeing it on Instagram or Facebook than to actually be there and feel that kind of energy of like devastation and then that little tinge of hope from receiving something from someone else. It's a super crazy experience to have. And I'm very careful of not like making it a token experience and
Mm-hmm.
actually seeing it like this is reality. I'm so far away from it. This has never happened to me. My house has never been blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just like a storybook thing, like big bad wolf blows your house away.
Mm-hmm.
No, the typhoons blow these houses away, the landslides bury them, fires will burn them up, and then they have nowhere else to go. And it's really insane to get to talk to them and hear it for yourself, because we only go after it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we hear it just like from firsthand experience, and that's even wilder.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, like, no matter how much you're exposed to all of the news and all of the content of what these people are going through, it never quite matches up to the actual experiences that they may have, like
Yeah.
when these calamities happened. Despite being a booming young artist in social media, Issa did not take the usual path of a creative worker. She enrolled in a community development course that had nothing to do with the arts. Then, back in 2016, she created an Instagram account called Issa Barte Art, where she could display her fun and quirky illustrations. At first, all she intended it to be was an outlet to express herself through art and show it to some of her closer friends. As her passion for art began to bloom once more, she started integrating storytelling to her posts by crowdsourcing for anonymous submissions of untold truths and hugot memories. Since then, she has been constantly trending on social media and has been working as a freelance illustrator as one of her primary sources of income. From an account with only 20 followers serving as a passion outlet for Issa, her page began to blossom into an incredibly influential and powerful account with over 65,000 followers. So it makes you think, why did a non-creative decide to pursue a career as a freelance illustrator? How did she use her passion to serve as both an advocacy and a business? To get these answers, I decided to go back to her roots by asking her how her passion truly began.
I actually had to kill it for it to begin.
Okay.
uh
How?
like you said, in college I took basically I had to pick my passion. I told myself like my life wouldn't be a life if I wasn't helping people. It sounds so cheesy or cliche, but I knew it about myself. Like I wouldn't be happy if I didn't live it for others. But I also really liked art, so I had to choose in college, and I chose the helping people. So I took development. So for 3 years in LaSalle, I didn't touch art. And then after I graduated, I went into corporate, which was just killed me. Like, honestly, I wasn't helping people. I wasn't doing art, but I was making money. But I was just like, this isn't it. So at and that put me at like the bottom of myself. Like, I didn't know who I was anymore because I was so far away from the person I wanted to be. And that's when I chose to like, you know, fuck it, I'll go back to art. And that's when that's actually also when I started the Instagram page. I wanted to challenge myself to do 100 days where I just draw every day.
That's a lot of damage. How about a little more?
And to do that, so I just put out a question like, when did you feel the most hurt? Tell me about the time you felt the most hurt. And tried to get 100 answers to illustrate like every day. It was super hard. I was going on the most random like Facebook groups and just like posting the form. It was like a Google form back then. Like putting it on Twitter, messaging people personally just to fill up that 100. And yeah, I guess that's where the Who got started also, because my question was also super emo. And
do you remember the questions? Like what else were you asking?
When I hit 50 for the tell me about the time you felt most hurt, it got really sad. So I put another question, tell me about the last time you felt most loved. And I posted consecutively, or like
you'd
side by
alternate
side
between them. Yeah.
Yes, there, thank you. I'm like out of words, man.
All good, dude. But
yeah, that's how it started.
that's crazy. And like, so when you started your Issa Barte Art, that's when you started surveying people also for questions. And back then, like, do you remember like how many followers you had when you started off?
20, and
About
those
20.
were just like my friends being nice to me about it. Nick's over here just like nodding her head like, yep.
Yeah, well, that's when you know the real ones, when they're supporting you from day one.
Yeah.
And do you remember the specific post that like really got the wheels turning in Issa Barte Art? Like, I'm pretty sure it was a Who Got one, because it's the
It
one.
was super Who Got, yeah, for sure.
What was it? Do you
I
remember?
think it was it was just a super simple illustration of red glasses, and then the quote was like, I can't see red flags or something like that.
Oh yeah, I saw that earlier when I was checking out for photos. But yeah, it was something like I couldn't see all of the red flags that were like obviously there.
Yeah.
You and stuff like that. Damn, and that's the one that started building traction really for your page.
Yeah. It was like on the 50th, 40th post that it just like went on. And it started becoming crazy because the form got out and I started getting like 100 submissions a day.
Damn, a day.
Yeah, it was so crazy. And I was just like, when did this happen? It was super wild for me.
What did it feel like just seeing like even like the most random friends end up sharing it and really seeing like your work start to explode?
Wild, but also like, oh my God, you feel this way? Like, they must resonate with the really sad narrative of it for them to go out and share it so publicly. And that's when I also realized like they'll tell their most secret, deepest, emotional, whatever to a complete stranger and want it to be like shared online. And I realized maybe because like they don't have anyone who'll actually like listen to them.
That's true.
And that was like damn.
deep,
And to get 100 submissions, yeah, it's so crazy. And I just realized like how lucky I am to have friends that can make me feel heard. And I guess that's when it changed from just a challenge to myself to me actually like doing it to help people.
Yeah, and I think that was like a great outlet for people to like kind of just vent to, because I think back then, like maybe like let's say 5, 8 years ago, it was Twitter. Remember those days when it's like whenever you feel a little santy, like you tweet like, "Oh, nobody gets me,"
Why are you crying?
or like like you're in high school, or it's like you'll slow dancing in the burning room.
Burning
Hashtag now
room.
playing. Like that's how you used to vent out your feelings, like
Yeah.
somewhat anonymously. And over the years, Twitter kind of became this like cancel culture type of thing, wherein it's like you have to be super careful with what you tweet because people are gonna like mga assuming talaga yung mga Pinoy. So like if you tweet something, they'll really be assuming that there's like a deeper meaning. So it's nice that you had like this outlet for people to kind of just express their emotions in a way that's anonymous and, like you said earlier, make them feel heard. And yeah, I mean, so when people send you these quotes or stories and stuff like that, you generally create an illustration to match it with the words. It's like hardly ever. I mean, there's some occasions where it's just words, but as I was stalking your Instagram a while ago, and there tends to be like a lot of illustrations that go along with it. So
Yeah.
I was wondering, how do you like draw inspiration from these quotes? Like, is there any active mood setting technique, like play some chill music and like dim the lights or something like that? Is there anything you do to, like, I don't know, get your creative juices flowing?
Yeah, honestly, you have to be in the mood to
You have to be in the
actually
mood.
feel the responses on form. Like if I'm not emo, then I don't resonate with much of it. But so I have to be in a state of like openness and like I can feel the sadness or the happiness of the responses and stuff. But it helps that I'm a Pisces because I'm very just like mega emotional. So it really helps that when I pick which to illustrate, like to pick which resonates the most with me. And also, it's not only me. When I started out, like my friends would also be helping me pick because I didn't want it to be biased to just like my own experiences.
Okay, true.
So yeah, I'd link it to people I trust, and they'd like highlight which ones they like and stuff.
All right, so why don't we move on to this next segment, and I'm gonna be trying it out for the first time. So any of the listeners that know Hot Ones by First Be Feast on YouTube, they have this segment called Explain That Gram. And since Issa is an illustrator and an artist, might as well like show you guys also, for those who are watching the YouTube version of this, and for those who aren't, come on, get on that shit. I work hard on it.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
So it's fun, guys. Like, it's good times. And if you are watching it, then only you guys will be able to see this. So let's get on to it. So for the first picture, we have this one. So this is actually your very first post on Issa Barte Art. Yeah, I scrolled all the way to the bottom, and this one had no caption, no nothing. It was just a picture. So we're gonna need a little bit more context on this. Like, who is this? Why did you make this? How is this? So what's going on in this picture, Isa?
Raka, you're so okay. This a guy I used to date,
Okay.
and I painted this for his birthday. We dated in college, and he's a really, really nice guy. And I like this picture of him, so that's what I chose to illustrate. You're killing me.
Yeah, I think I know who this is. That's why it's all the more better. But
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
like,
you know Chef.
yeah. Oh, the
Oh,
name has
okay.
been dropped.
Yeah, it's fine. Chef and I are friends.
Yeah, all right. That's cool. And this, it's like, shout out to Chef for giving you inspiration on like this,
Yeah.
because this is the very first post. So shout out to him. And I love the jacket, and I love the texture too. So yeah, that's dope.
Thanks,
So
man.
we got the first one down, and next one, lol, this is art. So for those people who are listening, it's just like a kind of a rugged illustration of a girl looking at a poster that says lol, this is art. So what made you want to create this one, and is there like some context that you can give behind it?
Yeah, it was just like me not coming from any like art course, having no background basically, no formal background. I was just like, can't believe people like the shit I'm doing. So that's literally it. I'm like, that's just in my head. It's like funny to me how it became so popular for something so simple. And it took me like a year of being very insecure with what I was drawing to realize like it wasn't about like how it looked or anything. It was about the emotion and the connection people find through the art. Like I was like, oh, okay, that's why. Because I had to like say I'm not the best artist out there. So I didn't feel like I deserved all the attention that I was getting. And yeah, that's where that came
That's the
from.
story. And yeah, I noticed also as I was going through your feed after this one, you started actually including more storytelling posts because the first couple of ones were just like straight up illustrations. Maybe like you'll have a cheeky caption here and there, but then it was mostly, like just illustrations. And after this one, I think you started putting out more story related posts. So the next picture is a story related post. And for those of you guys who can't see it, basically it says, being told I love you more now that we're pregnant, and another being walked out, and then being walked out on shortly after, and being told to get over it and forget about the baby when I thought he would be the one person that would understand my pain. So damn, this was a heavy entry.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a heavy entry, and it was one of your first few posts on your series for the Stranger Thoughts, and I'm just wondering, like, what was it like to kind of have to illustrate this? And second question, why the oranges? And one there's an orange where one is like semi peeled, so like why?
It's basically like I didn't want the illustration to be as heavy as the text. So something like brighter and then something unraveling. Like to see something unraveling and then the contrast to see something whole. That was just like the emotion behind it. Usually when I read like stories like this, I try to just like what's the base emotion of it and then get a base illustration for it. That's how I kind of work. So yeah, the orange was just something like lighter than the actual
Yeah,
story.
yeah, the actual situation of it.
Yeah.
And when you're like trying to find these emotions, do you like, I mean, I know it's like never gonna be the same if you put yourselves in the person's like shoes, but do you try to like imagine if that happened to you, or do you just try to analytically like extract the emotions from it and try to find a way to present it in an illustration?
It's more of if my friend was telling me this, what would
Okay.
I be feeling for her or him? What would I be feeling at that moment? Because I can never tell what they're feeling unless they tell me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to draw that like connection to the story.
Gets. And yeah, like this is not the only heavy post, but we don't want to keep this so depressing. So the next photo is a little bit more fun, and I'm definitely gonna need more context for this. Like, what is going on here?
That's just like a reality of being a girl right now, basically.
So
Like,
why don't you explain to the listeners who aren't watching the video? Seriously, guys, get on that shit. It's like beautiful art. You guys have to see it. But because I don't know the name of this painting, so like you can explain it better.
it's the girl with a pearl earring, and instead of looking at us, she's rolling her eyes because someone sent her an eggplant text. um, yeah, this was part of a series where I just like rearranged some really classical paintings, and the girl with the pearl earrings was very big classic. So
Hmm.
yeah, in modern context, what would she be doing? And basically, what are girls doing right now? Getting texts from like raunchy boys. So
With eggplants and the
yeah,
splash emoji.
yeah. Yeah, it's just like olden times and modern era activities, basically.
Speaking out of experience, ba? Or just hearsay?
Dude, the some of the DMs I get on the IG page are kind of raunchy. Like, so I don't dabble in it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, with that much clout, you're bound to get some creepy old dudes every once in a while. Or
Yeah,
yeah, it's
there's like some creepy white ones that were like persistent,
No! God, please, no! No! No!
like old white men. I'm like, how are you
persistent
even
talaga.
here? Yeah,
How do you even understand the Instagram?
yeah.
The Instagram machine for the boomers. All right, so let's go on to the next picture. I chose this one because it shows you, and in text it says, "I'm in a path I can say I'm really genuinely proud of." So I'd like to think that this was resonated with you in a moment wherein you felt proud of what you were doing. So maybe
Yeah.
you can give some more context behind this one.
I think this was at the point of seeing the power of sharing the stories. Like at one point, kasi people were DMing me to say like the seeing one of the posts like saved their lives because they finally felt that they weren't alone in the world.
Wow.
And I was like, damn. And I was giving myself such a hard time for the art and stuff, right? Like I said a while ago. And so for these simple things to mean so much to other people, it was just like, whoa, it was wild for me to hear and to understand like what connection can actually do to someone else.
Mm. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure it's just so not only rewarding, but just comforting to know that you've been kind of there for other people, even though you guys didn't really have an actual interaction with each other. And
Yeah.
just knowing that you made an impact on on their lives, I'm sure it's like makes you feel really proud. So I'm also wondering, what's it like to draw or illustrate yourself? Like, is it weird, or is it like, are you more comfortable because it's yourself?
Yeah, naman. Like, I just have to. This was, I think, before I started FDF because I'm pretty white in this illustration. I'm like super morena right now.
Before you
But
became a forest girl.
yeah, but I guess it's like nice because that's how I saw myself back then.
That's
So
nice. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's nice to go back on it too, just to kind of see where you were a couple of years back.
this is
Um,
great, Rocka. This like I haven't seen these things in so long.
that's why it's deep dive. Like I
Yeah,
wanted to bring in pictures that, like, it's been a while since you've last seen, and so that
yeah.
you can kind of reflect also on like some of the context. All right, so let's move on to our, I think, last two, or maybe even last two. So this one I felt really hard, and basically it's an illustration of Mali. She's the elephant of Manila Zoo, the one and only elephant of Manila Zoo, and the text in the photo is, "So many animals are hurting, and I know it's because of us." So, what were your like emotions when you were illustrating this? Knowing that you actually had interactions with Mali, like physically, and you got to see her state, and yeah, what were like the emotions going through your head when you were creating this illustration?
Angry. I was so angry. Like to realize only visitors like zoos. Like animals hate zoos. If you, especially Manila Zoo. I used to go there almost every day when I was in college just to check on the animals and stuff. And it's just such a miserable life. And for what? Like, doing the research on Manila Zoo, it's up because they say they want to educate kids of Manila to see like what animals are like. And you're like, but animals aren't like this. They're not supposed to be in like literal rusty barred cages. They're not supposed to be like shedding their fur or their feathers. They're not supposed to be bald and like starving. So yeah, these animals are placed there for our entertainment and for our privilege, but it just sucks to go over it again. And especially for an animal like an elephant, who are just very like intellectual, like they know what's going on, they can actually have thoughts, they need communication, they have relationships with people and their fellow animals. So to know all of that and to see Mali, the loneliest elephant ever, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's really
I don't know.
heartbreaking. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, the whole conversation of zoos versus conservations is a whole other story. But the fact, I mean, talking specifically about Manila Zoo, I know that the last time I was there, also the main emotion I was feeling is rage and even just confusion. Like, why are we doing this to them? And I get naman like the sole purpose on trying to educate people, but man, there got to be a better way to do it. There got to
Yeah,
be
read a
better way to do
book.
it.
Read a
Yeah.
fucking book if you want to like watch our planet. Like, why do you?
Good luck on telling the Gen Z people that. But yeah, that's a conversation for another podcast episode, and that's gonna happen for sure. But thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's move on. I think to the last post, and this one's fairly recent, and this was during the time of the calamities and the rough year of 2020. And in text, the picture illustrates a family. I'm not sure if they're scavenging for food or if that's their home, but the text is, I didn't get this I didn't get this bad out of nowhere. Years of systems and rotten values put us here. I'm trying to explain how our choices matter, not just for ourselves, but for us as a whole. So, obviously, you've been quite active in speaking out for the voiceless in our country and trying to provide an avenue for their voices. And somehow, I know you can't really totally encapsulate their emotions, but kind of use it as a vessel to share what they might be feeling. So what was your emotions, or what was it like creating this post for you?
This was actually in a hot meal drive in Marikina, and I wasn't supposed to see this. It's just that I did, and basically these people are getting, I think, donated boxes of clothes by the side of this building. I don't know if the clothes were just dropped there by like another NGO or something, but it was just like devastating to watch because it gets all it's like if we're gonna be helping these people, help them right in a way that is respectable, not just like dump all the goods by the side of like a building and let them scavenge for it. That was my thought seeing it. And this was really far away from me. I was up on another hill, so this was really, really far. I couldn't do much for it. But yeah, I realized that even the systems of NGOs, like they only exist, FTF only exists, for example, because there is a problem to be solved. So in the best world, NGOs wouldn't even have to exist. Like
If there
a
weren't any
good world,
problems.
yeah, if there weren't any problems. So it was just like, God, people have dedicated their lives into trying to help the poor, trying to help the climate, trying to regrow forests. Years of people dedicating their lives, but because there's also years of people being bad, choosing to be corrupt, choosing to steal from the people who need it more. And that was just like my thinking when I was writing this and seeing this and choosing this picture. It's like this exact moment happened because so many other people were so kurakot. Even the good people decided to just like leave it by the building and not like, hand it out in a respectable way. This is just like the other side of the donation drives, when you fundraise everything, it's super happy. But once it gets there, like what happens when it gets there? Sometimes it's this, sometimes people are just have nothing, that they'll take it. They'll take what's left beside a building.
Yeah, and there's so many untold stories as to what happens after you pack the relief goods, because everybody knows like the systems for packing, the systems for shipping, but there's so many untold stories as to how it gets distributed and what the LGUs kind of do. And we'll, I mean, we can talk more about that in our for the future segment. But as of now, thank you so much for sharing those insights. We'll take a quick break before we move on and talk more about the NGO that I am a baby of and she is my mama of, which is for the future. But first, and we're back. So we have an impromptu guest because Issa's been chilling with her, and for those who are watching, you can see her in the flesh. It is the gorgeous Nic Concepcion, and she has her own art page. So you wanna plug that too real quick before we get into FTF.
Love this. Hi guys. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Rocket.
Of course. So for those of you guys who know No One's Homies podcast, this is basically the continuation of the podcast that you guys did. It's just a different host. So this is like part 2 of that podcast. But yeah, so the three of us were all part of this beautiful group called FTF. If you guys don't know it, come on guys, get on that shit. It's great. We put great content. We provide avenues for you guys to help and educate also on the different problems and other important matters that should be talked about more in a day-to-day basis. So yeah, Issa is the co-founder, as she mentioned earlier, and Nic is the creative consultant, or what's the title that you use again?
We have like the weirdest titles.
Color queen.
Color queen. I like that. That's fun.
Titles in FDF. Like we call like our core group like the trunk. Like we're very it's very fluid, very conventional.
We're young.
Yeah, we're hip guys. Come on. But yeah, so we're all part of the group for the future. Issa is the co-founder, and let's talk a bit about, for the listeners that don't know what for the future is, like how it started. So I can give the baseline description of how it started. So the grading starts now, and so basically, Issa and a bunch of her friends. It was for your birthday, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, for your birthday, they went to they partnered up with Mad Travel, right? Mad Travel. Yeah, and they went to Yangil. Wow, it's 2 for 2 na. All right, so they went they went to Yangil, and it was for Issa's birthday, and Issa just wanted to get out of the city, do some like nature hikes and experience the world, and that's when they saw so for some context, Yangil is a tribe in Zambales, and it is also one of the places that was heavily affected from the Pinatubo eruption, if I'm correct. Pinatubo, right? So the land is covered in lahar, which is ash. And I think when you and your friends traveled to Yangel, that's when you really saw how much of the land was deforested. And although it may have looked like a beautiful landscape, nice like fields with nice mountains, it was actually very bare. And that's when the concept entered your head, when you were thinking, imagine if all of us, all of my followers, all of my friends, all planted a tree, we'd have a forest by now. And that's when the true what's the word I'm looking for, embodiment of FTF came out with our goal, our first mission, which was, imagine if we got Nadine Lustra's followers to all plant a tree, and we would have an entire forest by now. And it's crazy how to think, just in a little bit over a year, we're actually doing a project with Nadine now, wherein we are doing tree planting in Yangel. So it's just crazy how it started with the 3 girls, and it's Issa, Maita, and Clara. Unfortunately, Clara's living in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Australia right now, so she can't really participate as much as she'd like to. But yeah, it just all started off with an idea of reforesting the lands of Yangel, and it gave birth to this beautiful organization, or not organization yet because we're not that legit yet, but group of friends, and we're working on it, guys. But yeah, how was that like in that trip, and what, like, was there any specific moment that made you really think about the possibilities of reforestation in that specific area?
It was like we joined a group of like 20 people, and we were able to plant 800 trees with just 20 people already. So it was like, wow, imagine if we got, how many followers does Nadine Lustra have? Like 6 million?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If each one of them just like came and planted trees, then it would be a real ass forest.
Yeah.
Like
9
so
million.
soon. 9 million. Damn.
Damn.
Let's go, Nadine Lustra. Like,
Go Nadine.
like yeah, and ever since we thought of that, just like it rang in my head, like if everyone we knew planted a tree, we'd have a forest by now. Like, couldn't give it up, kind of thing. And that I guess that's how FDF started, just like with a
Small
persistence
idea.
of that small idea to make that idea real. And yeah, and then we started manifesting Nadine Lustra, and a year later we're doing a project with her. So yeah, it I guess like when the intentions are good and the message as well, then it can actually work.
It really reaches people. Like, I think that's something that For the Future is very strong at. Like, we're good at empathizing and like creating a human connection. So like once we tell a story, like I guess we just know how to get people to react. Like, we know how to make people want to feel for something. So like really just such a small idea of like building a forest. Like it like consumed like our whole like idea, like our whole brand or like our whole way of living. Like we just got that everywhere, and it was such a simple idea, but still ongoing. That's how we did it. Yeah.
Also because like when I went to Yangil, I was just so dumb about everything. I was like, I can't believe this actually just like 6 hours away from Manila. I didn't know anything about planting trees and stuff. And then I realized like there must be so many more people just like me who, if they knew about the situation, would care as much as me. And that's why we're so persistent with social media also, like showing people like what the hell's up outside of Manila. You know, Manila's such a bubble. It can be such a echo
Definitely.
chamber. So yeah, that's something FDF wants to do, just like really break us out of it.
And give like easily digestible like ways to make change, like ways to action. So like we just give like really easy options, and it seems so doable. And what people don't realize is that it is supposed to be doable. Like everything is doable. Just need that avenue, and that's what we want to provide.
Yeah. And
especially when our audience has like the resources to actually help. That's
especially,
what we're trying to show. Like this isn't a helpless cause. Like we have power to make the change that we want to like do.
Yeah, super.
No words.
And that's like that was perfect.
yeah, and that's how it all started. And yeah, I think the reason why we try to emphasize a lot, well, this is my perspective, why we try to emphasize a lot on storytelling is because, like you guys said, nga, is a lot more doable than most people realize. And I think the lack of connection is the real culprit here, because once you're educated about what's actually going on and how you can help, then everything else becomes so much easier. Like I actually wouldn't really donate to a lot of NGOs before, and then over the quarantine, after being part of FDF, you start to realize that, you know, your little help can go such a long way, and it's actually a lot easier than you think. I mean, you still need to do like the basic responsibilities, which is fact checking the organization, and just making sure that you're donating to a transparent cause. But yeah, other than that, it's like a lot easier to help out in more ways than you thought. It's crazy how much the group has grown, because like it started off mainly as reforestation, and then now we're doing community development, and we're even doing animal conservation and wildlife conservation. So it's just crazy to see how far we've come, and I'm super proud. I wear FDF on my sleeve all the time, because it's one of the things that, you know, I'm very passionate about and I love doing. So I also have a dream goal for FDF, which is to kind of come out something with like an Australia zoo type of thing, but not call it a zoo, but like that's like the goal. Like Keystone National Park, that would be so sick.
Wow, that
right?
sounds so nice.
If we had like a protected area, and then we have our endemic species that, you know, don't require a lot of space to move around, maybe we can present them, and like, you know, that's my big goal, like long term. And then you know, I would be like the in-house vet and stuff like
Wow.
that.
If I had a tail, it would be
You'd be a happy
that sounds
pupper.
awesome.
So
But yeah, that's my personal goal for FTF and Keystone. What would be your personal goal? Just to like kind of know that if you hit that, you know you did enough for yourself. Like of course we're never gonna be satisfied with where we're at, especially since we're doing community development and reforestation. It's gonna take more than our entire lifetime to reach like the the pristine goal of which where we want the world to be. But on a personal level, what would be your dream goal for our group?
so hard, dude. I don't know, like okay, my goals at the moment aren't as like beautiful and colorful as yours. Like yours are so beautiful, like I can really see it. But like right now I think what works for me is working in baby steps, and I just want us to become more sustainable, like be able to really help support each other. Like I hope our communities in the future will really be able to like stand on their 2 feet. Like community development is just such a scary and hard topic to like approach. So wow, I don't know. It's just there's just like so much that I want to see.
I think for me, it's that we have 3 partner communities. So Yangel, Agusan, and the Tamarao Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
For them to be electrified and have a good water source. So that's with the solar lights and then the water filters from Waves for Water. It's just to have all of their basic necessities like be good and be sustainable already, so that when we're working with them for the other things like reforestation or conservation, we don't have to worry that they're not getting enough in the other aspects of their life.
Like the basic needs are set,
Yeah,
so
it's
you can
good.
go forth. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be great. And imagine how rewarding it would be, like long term, if we can provide them with like basic necessities, power and energy, and then they could start like worrying about the other important things in life, like education, and if we can find a way to like make grants for them to go to school, that would be like so
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna like if you guys are following FTF, you're gonna see a lot more of Yangel, Agusan, and the Tamaraw Rangers this upcoming year. So make sure to stay posted. And last but definitely not the least, we're a young group. I think the oldest member is like what 27. Like who's the oldest?
Maita.
Maita, 26.
I don't know if you want people to know.
she's the tita of the group. But yeah, like we're just a bunch of young people that entered this with like no clue on real true community development. Like I'm not even a vet yet, and I'm not a biologist. We don't have any. We just come from totally different backgrounds, but we all think it's important that we need to take initiative in creating a better future for ourselves. So my last question for the future is, why do you think it's important for the youth to take initiative in bettering the world for the future?
Well, the youth is gonna take over the world, dude. Like it's our time. Like we are the ones who are inheriting this land. And I don't want to shade old people, but they kind of like screwed a lot.
Yeah.
Like fuck so much shit up. Like
They did.
we are
boomers.
inheriting this kind of broken world that we live in, and if we keep following like the same direction we're going, we're just gonna repeat the same mistakes. Like we need to learn how to do better, and we need to change things. Like we can't keep living with these same systems. Like it's time for us to like figure out what would really work and implement it.
Yeah.
It's our job.
I agree. The boomers, they messed up.
Yeah.
We cannot follow their footsteps.
Can you believe they were like investing in like oil and all these like nonsense? Oh,
Knowing it was bad.
Yeah,
That
knowing
was
it
my like. If you didn't know, then fine.
yeah, but like damn, they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, they had a very profit-oriented mindset because, it was very. A lot of like the boomers, I think, are Republicans in the sense that they just want whatever like makes the most money. Like back then, I mean, the scientists were already warning the people that this is not sustainable. This is only gonna harm the environment. This is only gonna make the world a shittier place. But they didn't listen. So at least like the youth, like we're a little bit more woke. Yeah, woke culture hashtag. But Issa, what about you? Why do you think that, especially for you, since not only do you speak about it in FTF, but in your own Issa Barte Art page, like why is it so important for the youth to take initiative?
I think because it's already like quite too late. Like we should have started, way before right now. So if we take more time to chill out and then like think like, oh, maybe we can start when, I graduate high school or when I graduate college, that's too far along, too late to reverse anything. That's why I'm so adamant about, do it now. Like there's so many opportunities. I know not everyone has the opportunity to, but for the people that do have that opportunity to make a difference, do it while the time is still ripe. Like it's still
Yeah.
here. Like what Raph said. So Raph is our director. He said we're young enough to see the change. If we start today,
Yeah.
just if we start today.
Like we're living in like a very interesting time. Like we are living in a world where we could see the fruits of our labor if we started now. Like adults, honestly, they don't have
Time's
that
up.
time. Yeah, they don't have
Yeah.
that time. We're so lucky to be living in this time where we can make the change and see it. So like, why waste that opportunity?
Yeah. Like I already feel like FTF started too late. Like
Mm.
we're only a year old. We should have.
Imagine what we could have been doing before if we
Yeah.
had this.
So for anyone who's listening and just like thinking, should I do something? Like, yes, bitch, you
it,
should.
just do it.
Yes, bitch.
Make it a fun thing. Like we always try to make helping fun and like relatable.
Yeah.
Because it should be these things shouldn't be extraordinary. These are the things that should be baseline.
Yeah.
We should be good. We should be thinking about others. So don't think that anything FDF is doing is like out of reach.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's like we're
not.
not like heroes. We
Yeah.
are not huge
Like
people for our lives. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
like our motto. Like I mean,
you don't need to
we're-
be anyone else. Be a person who can change the world.
exactly TM joke lang. But but for real though, like whether I mean you said earlier like whether you have the resources to do it or not, there like your help does go a long way. And like you said earlier with like the 1 million lights, imagine one lamp that lasts like 5 years is only 900 pesos. So let's say even if you can only contribute 100 pesos, if that's all that you have, if you just collect a group of 9 people, that's giving light to an entire family for 5 years. So just like that translation of what 100 is to you versus what it can possibly be for other people. And yeah, it's just so great to be able to see the fruits of our labors. I mean, for the boomers, they're old. Even if they made a change, I mean, it's like that's why I feel like they're stuck in their old mindset because like
Yeah.
if they change, it's like they wouldn't be able to experience it anyway. But then now that for the young people that are listening to this, we do have the chance to make our world a better place. Like let our kids be able to see Philippine eagles. Let them be able to go to a forest that's not like 3 hours away. Like that's the goal. That's the goal, isn't it? Right? And I think it's great that we all kind of have the same mindset towards it, which is why we're such an amazing coherent group.
And can I just say, so we have kids donating 5 pesos each and then apologizing
Yeah.
for it. Like, sorry, this is all we have. But I'm serious that 5 pesos will contribute to a relief bag that costs like 200 pesos for a family in like Bicol. Without that 5 pesos, there wouldn't be that relief bag for one family. It's just like insane. The super little stuff that like you think won't matter actually makes a huge difference already for people who actually really, really need it. And yeah, I just wanted to put it out there if we didn't convince you. Like, yeah,
Like anything that you can give, even just a simple share, like not
Yeah.
necessarily of our posts but of other like NGOs, anything that educated you a little bit more, why don't you just share it? You never know who you might inspire. Let's say you have like 100 followers, that even if you just inspire like 5 out of those, it's it's a lasting change, and you never know how that one share might change the person's perspective or the person's day as a whole. So thank you for that, guys. And to wrap it up, this is more personal, and it would just be, what is one word that best describes yourself?
Well, after this lovely conversation. Right now, I'm hopeful. I'm feeling good. The future looks bright, and yeah, feeling good about things that are gonna happen soon.
Stubborn.
Stubborn. Okay, why though?
I'm so fucking stubborn about starting now. Like you can't change my mind about it. Like I'm hopeful like Nick in a way that you can't sway me. I have so much hope for our generation and for the future that I'm just gonna be like I'm so hard headed about it.
Like it has to happen.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you have so much faith in the people, like everyone out there, that if it doesn't happen, like, dude, like
It's
not
not
an
happen.
option.
It's not even an option
Yeah.
for me that it won't happen. I honestly, in my whole like being, feel that it good will come.
That's beautiful, and I think that's why you are our Führer. You are the engine and the passion behind FTF.
Yeah.
But it's true though. Like it like none of us would be here if it weren't for you, and I'm just so grateful to be part of this amazing group with you guys and learning about a lot of different things, whether it's reforestation, conservation, food insecurity, and these are all topics that should be talked about more. So for all the listeners that are interested in what we've been talking about, well, this is towards the end of the podcast, so siguro naman you are, unless you just have a crush on Issa Barte, then that's fine too. Thank you for listening. But yeah, don't forget to check us out. We just fixed our website, so it's forthefuture.ph, right? .com.ph.
Yeah.
And we're very active on Instagram. And I just want to wrap up the pod by saying thank you so much for being on the show. Really had so much talking and learning from you guys as well. But before I go, I guess now would be the perfect time to plug in shamelessly where the people can find you. Both of you guys.
Oh, so I'm a Nic Concepcion on Instagram, but my art page is bucky.jpeg.
I'm Issa Barte Art on IG. And
Yeah,
for the future PH on IG as well. That's where everything that we talked about is on.
Yeah, you can reach all of us there. You can meet the rest of our team. Our team's like super awesome. They've been our friends for like 10 years at least. So
I also just like super work hard on the website. So yeah, you can check the
yeah,
website.
please check it.
That's right. Flex on it. I mean, she worked hard on it, guys. She put hours, and I saw that there's a new update with like the bios and stuff. Solid with the pictures,
Yeah.
meeting the
Oh,
team.
dude.
That was a bitch to do,
Yeah.
but hope you guys see it.
All right, guys. So I think that about does it. I want to thank you all listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Rockets Modern Life podcast. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to share with the hashtag Rockets Modern Life podcast. Hit that follow on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, so that you never miss an episode. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.
Let's go, Rocka.